We're reading in the book Kabbalah for the Student, the article Introduction to Panim Umeirot Umaspirot, page 457. We're starting from the line, it is written right after that. Ask your questions on kab.tv, make sure they're on the topic.
We should also mention what we spoke about earlier in this introduction. It's not simple for us to understand where we are and how all was created. The thing is that if everything is under the Creator, then what part in creation can be free? And if it's not a free, independent part in creation, then what is there to talk about it? If there's a machine that is operated by one force, then it's operated, that's it. However it's operated, it's operated. If there's no self-response on behalf of the creature, then what is there to talk about? But Kabbalists who attain the whole of reality tell us that we are independent and that we are in a state where we respond, and not only respond, but we take upon ourselves the role of operating the entire system. And it's very peculiar. We don't have an example for something like this to be possible in our world. We can exist as though we're independent, but it's because we imagine ourselves that way. We're like babies, thinking that we're doing something of our own accord, not knowing that nature is motivating us. Nature and Creator is the same thing. And how can we really be independent in a world that is filled by the Creator? That's not clear. And what happens here is, Baal HaSulam explains this to us in this introduction to Panim Umeirot Umaspirot, that we can't fix the situation in a simple way, because we have 10 Sfirot, first 9 Sfirot and Malchut. And the first 9 Sfirot are filled with light. The Malchut cannot receive anything, because she has a problem. There is a restriction over her, and the light departed her. How can we now correct the Malchut, which is entirely broken and cannot be corrected? How can we stream some qualities of bestowal into Malchut if it's a complete quality of reception? And we learned about what's called the breaking of the vessels in Talmud Sfirot and in other places, and here Baal HaSulam explains this to us, not referring to the breaking of the vessels that on the level of the worlds, but the breaking of the vessels on the level of the souls. There's a difference, because in order to correct the whole creation, Malchut of Ein Sof, we first have to create the proper environment for it. Basically, Malchut of Ein Sof, of infinity, is the center of everything. That's the point that we have to correct, the point that felt shame, that restricted itself, that emptied itself from the light. What can it do? It can't do anything now. So how do we make an environment that will treat it, and so that this environment around Malchut of Ein Sof will make it become corrected? The environment towards Malchut of Ein Sof is the first 9 Sfirot, or you can call it the first 3 phases. So if we call it 3 phases, or if we call it 9 Sfirot, or all the worlds, those Sfirot have to be properly structured so as to create the correct environment for breaking Malchut, correcting Malchut, all the states it has to go through. So we learn how the preparation for that was made by the breaking of the vessels in the worlds, which is the Malchut and the first 9 Sfirot together, and breaking the first 9 Sfirot. She corrupts them, breaks them, and to the extent she's opposite from them. So the first 9 Sfirot, as they absorb the quality of Malchut, they break, and then they clean themselves from that Malchut of Ein Sof. Besides they take out Leva Even, and then they become the same first 9 Sfirot. However, now they're integrated with the broken Malchut, and that integration provides the first 9 Sfirot with an understanding of Malchut. So, before, the 10 Sfirot were like this: first 9 Sfirot and Malchut. Then Malchut became restricted and emptied. So it's empty and it's restricted. Then the first 9 Sfirot and Malchut get broken into each other. That's called the breaking, where they all mix those parts, and then what we do is correct the first 9 Sfirot according to the Malchut, the broken Malchut, because that's after the breaking. And Malchut remains as what's called Leva Even, and the first 9 Sfirot are called Rapach, 288. Those 288 discernments had to be in the 32 discernments of Malchut. This is what he says, that they have to be there in order to break the system of Kedusha. If everything is arranged this way, the light is here, the emptiness is there, then the system of the worlds is structured as the proper environment to correct Malchut. But there's no correction of Malchut yet. Now we have to build Adam. So then we learn how Adam is built, what for and how, what discernments of Malchut have to be there. What is this compound? What are the sets of qualities, properties with which Adam was born? Because here, it's still the worlds, meaning the environment. It's all but preparation for the future Adam, man. When we learn about the creation of man, we learn that Adam was created in a way that it was like Malchut and Tet Rishonot. The first 9 existed at first. That's Adam at the beginning. Here is Malchut, here is the first 9 Sfirot, and this is all Adam HaRishon, a spiritual Parzuf. And also, it's an angel, it's in heaven, everything's okay. Why? Because Malchut is empty, and here there's inner light. So then it feels no deficit, no nothing, everything's fine. There's nothing to be done. So now the question is, how do we bring Adam to a correction? So it has to go through a breaking. We have the example for that in the worlds. And after the breaking, it has to make corrections, but on its own. We now break it, and after we break it, we have a unique work to do. That after the breaking, he will go back to the corrected state. The corrected state is again to have 288, 32, the first 9 Sfirot, Malchut, meaning that's Adam HaRishon at the end of correction. It's not the end of correction, it's right before, because at the very end of correction, the Leva Even joins all the others. But there has to be a differentiation between this part in Leva Even, and at the end, Leva Even also joins. That action is called Rav Pe'alim Mekabtziel. It's another action that happens. So, what is man to do, or what is up to us? This is Adam's work. Meaning, to make the difference after the breaking. What is the part of Malchut to not be used, and what is the first 9 Sfirot? And this is how the Partzuf is assembled in a correct way. So now we're in a state together when we learn how it was broken. In the world of Nikudim, we learned, and we are studying it, that it comes by two forces, happens by two forces. The force from above, called light of Absag, that first creates the parsaot, or the restrictions, tzimtzumim, the second tzimtzum, then it reaches, then the light comes from Nikve Naim to Keter to Abba Ve'ima, and then there's an awakening from Yesod of Ak that comes through the Malchut. So it's two directions, from above and from below. There's an awakening that comes in order to draw the light, in order to bestow, but then it causes a breaking, a shattering. So here too, we will learn it with respect to Adam HaRishon, and here it's in a more detailed manner and in a more emotional manner. It's written that way and deliberately. Baal HaSulam doesn't hide from us that he tells us in some place. There we go. In item 16, he writes, with regards to the above, we were given to understand that how the sages revealed a portion, but they covered 10. Not 2 as usual, but 10. Meaning we have to understand that all those things are in order to bring correction. It's not in order to drive us away from correction. Those 10 concealed portions are what we need to make an effort to digest. And it's like a child that sweats a lot and makes a lot of effort until he clarifies something, but without a gradual clarification, we cannot absorb things and later use them with clear understanding and obtain them as our own. So the more we work on it and agree with this difficulty, an emotional difficulty, intellectual difficulty, that we can't connect with it, relate to it. It always disappears. Something is happening. We need to understand that we're still building our vessels as we are doing it. So let's read, and if there's a problem, we can still go back to the beginning where he explains to us about Adam HaRishon. We already forgot that we spoke about the 4 angels, so to speak, and how they agreed or didn't agree with the creation of Adam, and now we're talking about the snake and Eve, and we already saw how the snake, so to speak, made them closer to the Creator. What does it mean? The snake, this reveals to Adam and Eve that if you're going to use your will to receive, called the fruit of the tree of knowledge, you'll do good to the Creator. And it's not lying by saying that. It's only saying half of the truth, that you have to do it in order to bestow. Otherwise you won't do it correctly. But in that part that it says, it is correct. It's right. Besides that, it is showing them that the whole purpose of creation is in order to use it and in order to bestow, to bring contentment to the Creator. This is what they were created for. Look what the snake reveals. Is it really the angel of death or the angel of life? But this is what it says. The moment you eat from that fruit, you'll feel the greatest pleasure, and you'll give the greatest pleasure to the Creator. If you receive the light of Chokhmah in the vessels of reception, and in order to bestow, it just doesn't reveal to them that it won't work, that they'll get broken. Meaning, it teaches them that the purpose of creation is really to receive in order to bestow. Well, let's move forward, and if not, we'll go back slowly. I don't think that we can go through this material really fast and all at once.
We're on page 457. It is written right after that. It is written right after that. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes. This means that she did not rely on his words, but went and examined with her own mind and understanding, and sanctified herself with additional kedusha to bring contentment to the Creator, in order to complete the aim desired of her, and not at all for herself. At that time, her eyes were opened, as the serpent had said, and the woman saw that the tree was good for food.
What does it mean? The Malchut, corrected herself, meaning the will to receive took on an intention in order to bestow, to correct, to receive all this pleasure in order to bestow. This means that this is the meaning of the woman sanctified herself in order to approach the fruit and eat it correctly.
In other words, by seeing that it was a delight to the eyes, before she even touched it, she felt great sweetness and lust. When her eyes saw by themselves that she had not seen such a desirable thing in all the trees of the garden. She also learned that the tree is good for knowledge, meaning that there is far more to crave and covet in this tree than in all the trees of the garden. This refers to knowing that they were created for this act of eating, and that this is the whole purpose, as the serpent had told her.
The serpent told her that, and all the other trees of the garden refers to the first 9 Sfirot, the 288 Rapach. It didn't fulfill anything. It's just a very small, tiny illumination and light of Chasadim. What can you get there? Here, we're talking about the light of Chokhmah, the light of the purpose of creation. The light of Chasadim is only the light of correction of creation. It's very subtle. And from all the fruits in the garden, which is Binah, everything is nothing compared to this, which is the fruit of the tree of knowledge, which is the light of Chokhmah, by which you can not only feel pleasure, but bring contentment to the Creator. So it's a double pleasure. And besides the fact it's a double pleasure, what is revealed with the light of Chokhmah is Rosh, meaning she gained knowledge. There's an understanding, a great addition that you see and understand in advance. And now, as much as the mind grows, the pleasure grows too, because the mind and heart work together. With the light of Chasadim, you don't need any calculations, so there is no wash. Meaning a person who goes for receiving in order to bestow identifies pleasures that don't exist in Chasadim at all. Receiving in order to bestow is building an entire degree, because in receiving in order to bestow, you start feeling the Creator. You don't only correct yourself to see the Creator from afar, slightly, but you come to recognize Him like as an adult towards an adult, not like a baby towards an adult that doesn't know anything.
Where is the Creator in all this story?
It's in the serpent, inside the serpent, and a little bit inside the woman. Where else? I don't understand what you mean where is the Creator. The Creator is outside the creatures. It's a force in the creature. That's how it's called. Creator, Bore in Hebrew, meaning come and see. Where do we find it now? As the operator of the system, especially in the serpent, and a little bit in the woman operated by him as well.
How can the will to receive do an action in order to bestow without the connection to the Creator?
Why? The woman becomes sanctified, so to speak. There is first 9 Sfirot. Malchut becomes sanctified with the first 9 Sfirot. She wants to do an action of bestowal. There's a calculation, there's a head. Rosh, what is to become sanctified? There's masachim, screens, returning light, receiving in order to bestow. It's to receive from the Rosh to the Guf. All the first 9 Sfirot is like a Rosh towards the Malchut. Where does the will to receive start? From the Peh of Rosh and below, the Peh of the Partzuf. What is the Peh of Rosh? And above, the first 9 Sfirot, the qualities of the Creator. Accordingly, I examine how similar I am to the Creator, and according to that calculation, I receive into the Partzuf, into the Guf. That's the structure of the Partzuf. Where's the Creator? I don't know what you mean by the Creator. The Creator is the inner force that drives the system, the force that operates the creature, the operated one. I don't know what other Creator you're talking about. It's something outside that? There's nothing outside this. We're not talking about the Creator as regular people talk about Him. We are talking about what's called come and see, a quality that we discover within our vessel. It doesn't exist before the vessel. When does the light begin to be revealed and we can say it exists? By creating existence from absence. It's like the primordial cause, but before it, there's no light. To the extent that there is a desire created existence from absence, you can talk about what's operating it. That's the force of the Creator. And before, I don't know. I have no grasp of it. But there is something. I don't know. What do you mean there is something? You can say there is something called His essence, which is like the root of all this. But again, it's only your depiction, your imagination. You need this discernment to start from, because you can't perceive any way else.
So if the Creator was there from the beginning, so what lacks? Why from the beginning wasn't he there?
He's there too. What are you lacking? Yes.
So why wasn't this action executed as it's needed in order to bestow?
Because he wanted it to create to happen that way. The breaking, the shattering, that's now the purpose of the Creator, to cause the shattering.
But if the will to receive is needy of the Creator from the beginning, so what's the renewal now from above? Whereas from below from above there was the breaking. So what's the renewal now from below?
There was no one needy of the Creator. They were all in heaven, so to speak. No one needed everything. I'm an angel. I'm 100% corrected. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. I don't feel that there's malchut that needs to be corrected. I'm flying. First 9 sefirot filled with the light of chasadim. Everything's fine. You can't even imagine how hard it is to come out of chasadim and start stirring the malchut, the force of reception. You don't understand the wholeness and perfection of binah. Nothing's missing. I don't need anything. I don't require anything. No one's touching me. I don't touch anyone else. I'm in wholeness. I have cleansed my vessels from all the deficits and filled them with the light of chasadim and reached a point where they're complete, whole, tranquility. I don't want to know other vessels. I don't feel them. Why should I? So I'm immersed in light of chasadim. And now I'm told, no, you have to now activate your kelim, where you have infinite, huge desires, and by those vessels of yours that you revealed, you have to feel other vessels. Why do I need it? Because with your vessels of reception, you'll relate to other vessels of reception and begin to bestow upon them and fulfill them. I don't want this or that. Why do I need these troubles? 2 things and I'm in the middle. I stay in Binah, everything's good. No, on the one hand you have Keter, on the other hand Malchut, and you have to be there in between and do the job. Who will go for that? It's very hard to come out of this perfect state of chasadim and start activating the vessels of reception. Wait a minute. It takes you out of perfection. Takes you out of it. You as if get broken. How can you come to a breaking from spirituality? You need to find some justification for it, a real reason, true reason, because first of all, you get broken for sure. You discover your own evil and evil in others. You have to look at them correctly. Before that, you looked at them as whole. Now, in order to correct them, in order to discover fulfillment in them, you have to discover the imperfection and then correct it. Not just that you cause evil to yourself. In order to see them in a bad way, you have to break your view that is in order to bestow. You understand the problems? These are problems that come from both from reception and from bestowal. Both from Keter above you and Malchut below you, you go into a trouble. How to see that the others lack something, that they have flaws. So in short, it's not simple. This is why we truly need the force of the Creator here. And what is the force of the Creator? It's the force that lies in the system and operates it from the two ends of creation, both from Keter and from Malchut. It works on Adam Rishon, that is in heaven, his first 9 Sfirot, and Malchut, which is Eve, works on that Parzuf in order to take it out of wholeness. That's something that... Let's continue. Let's continue.
We're continuing with the line after. After all these certain observations, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and she gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. The text accurately writes with her, meaning with the pure intention to only bestow, and not for her own need. This is the meaning of the words, and she gave also unto her husband with her in Kedusha.
Just as Adam, the first 9 Sfirot, is of the Parzuf, and Chava, Eve, is in Malchut, so everything existed in all the 10 Sfirot as an intention, a pure intention of bestowal, to receive in order to bestow the light of Chokhmah in all the Parzuf. This was the recommendation of the serpent. You understand? It brought them closer to the work of the Creator in the most correct way. Why do we call it cunning? Why do we call it a serpent? Because it knew that there has to be a breaking on the way, but without it, it's impossible to achieve it. So the serpent is called an angel. An angel of death or an angel of life is a force that has no choice. So why do we hate it so much? Why do you hate it if it's in the hands of the Creator? It's called the angel of death. Okay, so it's an angel. What do you want from it? Showing you your death. Look how much we need to invert the regular picture that a person has. So what did he tell them? All the work they have to do from now to the end of correction. It's all in order to bestow. In Garden of Eden, they didn't have this understanding to receive in order to bestow. This is what he explains to them, and it connects Adam and Eve together. They weren't connected. There was no coupling between them, meaning no children, no outcomes. There was no connection between the first 9 Sfirot and Malchut. It teaches them how to work together in receiving in order to bestow. From the first 9 Sfirot, pulling into Malchut. All of that is done by the power of the serpent. Now you tell me, who is the serpent in this whole situation? Who is it? What is it? What? Does it stand there on the side, on its legs, without legs? What? God forbid, we're thinking about some image. What is that discernment? Within a person, because there's nothing more than 10 Sfirot. Besides the 10 Sfirot and the light that works in them, there's nothing. So what is the discernment called a serpent? That in that cunning way takes care of all the other 10 Sfirot, all those qualities. Think about it from this perspective. This is where the foundation of everything is. People are not aware of it, and they don't know what's happening to them at all. This is where everyone fails. It's the hardest thing.
if he does them such a big favor, so why the Creator made him afterwards
Cursed him.
cursed him?
Well, the guy studied in a yeshiva. What can you do? This is what you were taught. Well, it's true, because this is how they study. And really, this is first how you should study. The literal story, how it's written. Yes, of course. You have to know both, for sure. The Creator cursed him, meaning that we discover that this form is not desired in the Creator's eyes, meaning that I don't need to identify, to sympathize with this form. Meaning the serpent is the will to receive. In order to receive, that cannot be corrected, and will be corrected only at the final correction when the angel of death turns into the angel of life. But that angel knows, precisely because it is the will to receive, in order to receive at the lowest degree, it knows that it has no way of reaching the final correction unless all the vessels outside it will be broken. Besides it, because it can't be broken. It's not in Kedusha. It's not in bestowal. It's in them in order to receive. They don't feel it, that's all. So it envelops itself with the purpose of creation to benefit the creatures, meaning that all the desires will receive in order to bestow. So then it is correct in its claim that it directs them to the breaking, because that final will to receive is tied to the initial thought of creation. The end is connected to the beginning. So, what does it say about the serpent? That it knows more than all the others. It knows more than Adam and Eve. It is the smartest. Why? Because it will contain the light of Chokhmah, that is the greatest that will ever be revealed. It will be revealed in that serpent. So that discernment is the worst until you correct it, and it's the highest after you correct it, after the end of correction. So, therefore, it has mind, and it has cunningness, and it has two clothings, actually. The light of Chokhmah that is in front of it, only it cannot receive it in order to bestow, so it's only facing it, as if opposite it. On the other hand, with respect to the vessels, it's the greater. It's the greatest. And it speaks from the most inner point of a person. That's the middle point. What? So
there wasn't another form, another way of doing that?
No, of course not. The Creator doesn't like this form, means that it doesn't like this form of receiving in order to receive. That has to be corrected. But all the process of the breaking, of course.
So was that the thought of creation from the beginning?
Of course it was. Of course, we learned that the first, second, and third state all unite together. Only for us, they're divided, these phases. The beginning of creation, the whole process in the middle, and the end of creation. To us, there's a time and a process. Towards the Creator, no. There is one thing that happens all at once, right away. As there is a thought of creation, the end of the action is already there. It's not that he planned something and then did something. Everything's there, including the corrected vessels with all the breakings and corrections. It's not that he envisioned the beautiful state and that's it. No, all the process went into it already. And we are in those states already. That's why they all exist. We are in the Malchut of Ein Sof, where all those states from the beginning to the end already exist. It only depends on us how we discover them. Our free choice is to discover them in a good way, in a pleasant way, with a good attitude on our part, understanding them. Not like you were taught, but like we learn that it all comes from the Creator in a correct way, and every state must be. We only need to correct our attitude and observation to it. Our correction is for what? To justify the Creator. What does it mean to see in our corrected eyes the states that we go through for the sake of correction, and then we accept all of them as desired. That's all. You're not changing reality itself. You're changing your observation of it, your perception, how you perceive it. A little more.
Item 18.
Okay, we'll let them ask. Yes, let the guy ask there. Gil, what you want?
What are the differences between what he's explaining here and what was in the past with the state we're in and on the way to bestowal? It seems like the role of the teacher here is to guide us to all the time define these words and make them interpret them as the quality of bestowal always working on us. Can you develop here the role of the teacher in that, of creating this expression so that there is a place here for scrutinies? Like he's gone through a lot of scrutinies in order to come to this, fruit. This might help us grow us to the next level.
It depends on the time. The teacher in the wisdom of Kabbalah works according to the call of the time. There were times where teachers chose a few students and that's it. There were times when they hid themselves and no one knew. There were times in like the time of Baal Shem Tov where they opened their doors and accepted students in the widest way. Baal Shem Tov created what's called the study room. It was for grown-ups in the beginning, not for children. And what they studied was actually the wisdom of Kabbalah. They called it the Torah of Baal Shem Tov, but really that was the wisdom of Kabbalah. So they treated it different. The teachers treated differently. Today, a teacher opens it up for everyone, but also it's still revealing one portion and covering two. You must maintain the deficit, the desire. If you open something, you have to make sure that they lack something, that they feel something with which to advance. If you open everything up and you block them, you don't allow them to advance, meaning you have to shake them up and feel them keep them in an uneasy situation, in tension. And you also have to somehow admit, but still most of the work is in the desire. And it's not that what they covered was through the texts. It's really in their blood, in their exertion. So a teacher in Kabbalah is a role of first making sure that the desire is kept in the students and kind of shake them up and place them, put them in front of the problems, in front of the exercises, and accordingly they advance, each according to how much they are willing to look at it this way, to really see it. Some want to kind of take a shortcut, like you have a hurdle in front of you and you don't want to take the leap above it. And some are willing to wait. Some are looking for, maybe there's a concealed door somewhere. It's like that. But the role is to make it easier with everything possible besides the point where a person has to labor. But all the rest, for instance, Baal HaSulam writes to us with his language. And he writes to us about it, and it's really a big problem to this day. And we have to keep interpreting and clarifying all the correct terms. And we see the problems with the texts: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, faith, Israel, Jewish. All those words have to be interpreted as inner discernments, and there's nothing here that has to do with a nation. There is no nation. There is a group of people that are a group that is either directly towards the Creator or it doesn't exist. That's it. There's no people of Israel in the exile. The people of Israel exists only when it belongs to the Creator. Then it's called Israel, directly towards the Creator. So all of that is up to the teacher. Well, what can we do? Well, we are concluding. Yeah, he wanted to ask during the whole lesson.
Is it possible to define the bina like drugs?
No, I'm sorry. No. This is what you wanted to ask during the whole half an hour?
No, there's a place to advance now.
No.
What does it mean to reveal the breaking with the relationship to the Creator? Towards the Creator, the will to receive is nullified. And then is that the breaking?
I don't understand this. I don't have this kind of discernment. The will to receive neutralizes the Creator neutralizes that.
I have an attitude, I have the will to receive fulfillment. One nullifies the other.
The breaking means when I discover that I'm in a breaking. We are always talking about the creature. We never talk from the side of the Creator. That's it. The creature discovers that it's in a will to receive in order to receive towards the Creator, and according to the breaking, when it feels that it falls and breaks, then it feels that the other parts also seem foreign and alien to it and farther away. Suddenly it discovers that it's not him towards the Creator, rather there are many around me and I don't belong to them, they don't belong to me. And accordingly, to the extent he sees them far away from him, the Creator disappears. Because the Creator is felt to the extent that a person connects with the others. So then, after the shattering, just imagine this state where the others, those parts, that's called the shattering of the patzuf, the shattering of the kli. Those pieces disperse, like in the Big Bang, let's say, they disperse, and to that extent, the Creator that was felt as if dissolves out of until it completely fades away from the senses. And then what's left is what? Me and them? Okay, well, if I can use them, then okay, but that's the world. Any more time? Yes.
If there is no nation of Israel in exile, so what is there?
it's not called Israel according to the definition. Again, with the wisdom, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we go according to clear definitions, otherwise we lose the direction. Israel is called Yashar Kel, meaning straight towards the Creator. One who wants to achieve bestowal and love, which is the Creator, is called Israel. One who wants to equalize with the Creator by the quality of bestowal and love is called Yehudi, Jewish, from the word Yehudi, united, unified. If a person doesn't have these discernments, these qualities, then he's not called Israeli or Jewish. So what is he? He's nothing. In spirituality, we take into account only the power of intention of the Kli. That's it. Let's hope we achieve these correct definitions, and in the meantime we'll conclude.
I'm going to read a few announcements. The mega congress around the world, unity around the world. We're inviting you to 3 huge days of unity all around the world. In over 40 locations. Go to Kabbalah.info and check the link there of the mega congress to find the nearest location to you. And that it ends with the all-together evening here in Israel, which will be also broadcast around the world. We invite you to the building of the new internet system. Go to internet.kbb1.com, fill out the daily questionnaires, write questions, read the articles there, which are summaries of the daily Rabash articles, and build the spiritual environment. Good day.
על הגופים במקום בנשמות, כולם רוצים רק לעצמם, רוצים בלי שאלות. השנאה שמתגברת, רק קנאה והדמעות, רוצים לצאת מהקופסה, להתעורר, כי ככה אי אפשר לחיות. אבל קיימת עוד תקווה שנתקן את הכוונה, נחזור לחיות באהבה בינינו, אם נאמר כולנו יחד אמן. נחזור להיות כולנו חלקים של השלם. נשמה ונתעורר מהחלום, לא קולטים את המציאות והתסכול רק מתגבר, לא מוצאים את האיזון ובתוכנו המשבר, מסביבנו אסונות, תאונות ומלחמות, וזה לא ייפסק אם לא נאחד את הרצונות. אבל קיימת עוד תקווה שנתקן את הכוונה, נחזור לחיות באהבה בינינו, אם נאמר כולם